Hello, and welcome back to the next part of the White Album 2 bonus story, The Idol Who Forgot How to Sing. So this is pretty much taking place during the period of time, before and during closing chapter, when Haruki and Setsuna just were not talking, were not able to connect. So here, in part 2, we are actually in the latter part of this. This is 2 years after part 1, so it's been a while since Haruki and Setsuna were able to connect. Let's check in with Takeya, Io, and Setsuna. Chapter 2, The Snow, 2 years later. So, we're going skiing, right? I mean, we gotta. Hey, why don't we go a little crazy and see about going diving in Okinawa or something? You can't swim in Okinawa until April at least. It won't work for spring break. Then how about Guam or Saipan or... Remember what our seniors said about our budget limits? Man, this is hard. Start to make one thing work, and then it turns out not to work for some other reason. Well, like I said, if we go skiing, we'll fall within the budget just fine. Hey, Setsuna-chan, where do you want to go? Huh? What? We're deciding on the destination for our seminar trip. That's the whole reason we got together today, remember? Oh, sorry. Let me think about it for a second. Setsuna's still zoned out. When Setsuna's in her depression, she kind of recluses into her own mind. She's not really paying much attention to what's going on around her. And unfortunately, she's still kind of in that mental escape. At the furthest back table in the Building 6 cafe, the accustomed table for the politics and economics students, there was what might be called a youthful noise echoing out. We aren't even in the seminar yet, though. Why have we been put in charge of organizing this? I heard it was because the seniors are busy with their second term exams. We're on the same schedule as they are, though. It was dim enough outside that it seemed like snow could start falling any minute. Cloudy, bleak, and cold. But their lively conversation was full of a brightness suggesting that winter was long since over, and spring break had arrived. Aw, the spring breakers. The second years didn't even participate until last year, did they? I think we pretty much have to this year, though. The seniors have been in a big uproar ever since it was decided which seminar we would be attached to. So that's what this is about. What they're really after is... Yeah, of course it is. Oh boy. In a single instant, their voices froze, cutting off the flow of the conversation. And the gazes of all but one person were fixed on that last person. Huh? What? Oh, maybe like a hot spring? I love hot springs. Like, don't get me wrong. This isn't me being like, oh, young people don't enjoy hot springs. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. But the fact that Setsuna's so obsessed with hot springs despite not really going outside of her little trio just goes to show how obsessed she is with the past. And honestly, Haruki and Kazusa too, because what do they do the second they decide to go on a trip in the normal ending? Oh, let's go to the hot spring. Let's go to the same exact hot spring. All three of these characters are so unable to let go of the past, and it shows in literally everything they do. Oh, or maybe that's just something old ladies do? Huh? What? And when she, fated always to draw everyone's attention, reacted in an uncharacteristically hysterical way. Fine, you win. What the hell was that perfect time lag? You did that on purpose, didn't you? You totally did that on purpose. God, Setsuna-chan is just devastatingly cute. I know she's sitting right there, right here, and she turned me down ages ago, but I just gotta say it. hang on, you can't just toss something like that out. It's fine, Setsuna, you don't have to be all modest. You just have to be here. Yeah, that's enough to change how the seniors and professors act, even to us. It's kind of pathetic. It's pathetic that everyone is so obsessed over one school idol, but including the professors in that bunch that are obsessed about Setsuna is kind of yucky. Just as the dusky cafe had finally begun to regain some peace, that unwelcome tumult returned fully. Sorry, but none of them knew that Setsuna's moment of perfect spaciness was neither the result of natural airheaded charm nor a calculated scheme. That she had just been focusing so hard that she couldn't hear anything. Just for as long as Unreaching Love played from the cafe speakers. Tadokanai koi. It's just weird. It's weird reading it in English. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that thinks that's weird. Setsuna had entered Hojo University almost 2 years ago. And a little more than a year had passed since that signature song, a hidden gem to hundreds of people, had transformed into a winter staple for thousands of people. That's really cool, though. Having written and composed and performed a song and have it be so popular that it's just played for thousands of people, that's a really cool thing. Unfortunately, it's got a lot of baggage behind it, but it's still pretty cool. After Unreaching Love had played on the Hojo University campus for the first time, that festival night a year and a half ago, it had continued to receive an enormous push from the campus radio station, bringing in more and more support from those who had known the song since high school and those who had just come into contact with it for the first time alike. And its popularity was now at the point that not a single Hojo University student didn't know about it. That's crazy for like a self-written song. That's crazy. However, in accordance with the strong wishes of the band's representatives and consideration by her high school classmates, the identity of the mystery vocalist who sang of that heartache was still highly exclusive information. Okay, let me just say that that's dumb. Because it's obviously Setsuna, right? If it was some random background character, then I could see like nobody really noticing. But the campus idol who literally everybody is after, everybody knows her voice. And people are like, I wonder who it could be. I have no idea. That's dumb. That's a very convenient plot point, I guess. That said, the level of aggression from those who were privy to said information was unchanged, and there seemed to be no end in sight to the propositions to join bands, pressure to enter Miss Hojo competition, and love confessions thrown into the mix. And Setsuna, the crucial element herself, continued simply smiling vaguely at these incessant salutations, showing absolutely no sign of going along with anything so shallow. Even so, if one thing could be said to have changed about her, so that's what each of us will be in charge of. Setsuna, were you listening this time? Yep, I'm handling correspondence with the seniors, right? No problem. It was that she had begun accepting friends outside of the group of 4 in this way. That's cute. Honestly, that's good for her. Even if she doesn't feel like a super strong connection with others, the fact that she is connecting with others is a really, really good sign for Setsuna. Concerts, contests, and dates were all off the table. But she showed up at just enough get-togethers and tea parties to avoid being seen as standoffish, carried out all the duties that were asked of her, and never forgot to make the coordinators and her classmates look good. Just friendly enough, just courteous enough, never haughty, never coarse, and absolutely never getting emotional. But it's sad that she feels like she has to repress herself to that extent. Because after what happened with Haruki, she's like, okay, well, I'm just never going to show my emotions. Like, I'm just going to keep it all in and be the perfect idol. That's not healthy either. A charming flower, out of reach. She had come to polish that temporary facet of herself once again, which had been her pride since high school. But even Setsuna herself didn't know whether this was a step forward or a step back. Because... oh yeah, Tomochika-kun. What's the final word from Kitahara-kun? Is he in or not? He was still keeping the question on hold as of yesterday. He's a tough one, huh? Hearing new information about Haruki for the first time from other people. Hearing people who weren't her, confirming new information about Haruki. Told Setsuna what she had lost in the past year in exchange for what she had gained. Oh. But then again, him moving on and having other friends is a good sign for him too. You know, you shouldn't dissuade this kind of thing. If Kitahara-kun had taken charge from the start, we wouldn't even have to be getting together like this. You can't shove everything on Haruki like that. He's working almost every day over spring break. The workaholic. On that day, just over a year ago, Setsuna had halted. She had wanted to take Haruki's hand, lean into his chest, make up for all the loneliness and pain she had felt with new heights of love and sweetness. But that single song, nothing more than radio waves, had easily nipped off her overflowing feelings and the nerve she had mustered up. But his duty as a student is studying. You know his grades. You think he's going to skimp on that? That's not all, though. Don't give working students like us such a hard time. I was planning on working through the whole break myself, but I talked to Haruki about it, and we decided one of us needed to be part of this. Well, isn't that nice? Haruki gets to work and make money, and this guy just has to work at the school stuff. Ever since then, the two of them had been stuck with a close physical distance and a great psychological distance. Ooh, that's a really good line to actually sum up Haruki and Setsuna at this point. Because they are still in the same university campus. They are very close. But yeah, mentally they are like so worlds apart. But Setsuna, bearing the responsibility for a mistake that no amount of lamenting could ever erase, had come to accept that irresolute distance, almost as though she had given up. Almost as though her heart had finally completely worn out. Tomochika, I have to wonder, why do you get so worked up defending Kitahara? There's something weird about you two. Yeah, don't you two work at the same place? Or two of the same places, actually? Are you like a thing? They act similar, neither of them seems interested in girls. Sure seems possible to me. No, that's absolutely not the case. It was that very winter that Setsuna had expanded her social network to include other friends. Perhaps it was in an attempt to use something else to cancel out the loneliness she felt in Haruki's absence from her life. Perhaps Setsuna's heart had simply automatically sought out a balance so that she could continue living as herself. But that escape had thrown her into a vicious cycle, stirring up the guilt she felt over things with Haruki more and more. Don't be stupid. Maybe you guys didn't know, but Kitahara's pretty damn popular outside of school. Whoa, really? I mean, just recently, there's been this really pushy girl at work going after him. What? No freaking way. Mr. Chairman? That guy? So pathetic. Listen, I know that outside people don't know all about Haruki's faults, so like whatever, he's an average guy, he's gonna have people having a crush on him. But really, he's just an average guy. He's so stubborn and bullheaded and obnoxious and a busybody. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Setsuna's overhearing about someone having a crush on Haruki. She just melts down. Setsuna's gasp at that moment was fortunately drowned out by the shouting that immediately followed. We're in college now. You don't have to keep calling him that nickname anymore. I mean, yeah, it's accurate, but what's the deal, though? I thought Kitahara-kun was dating her. Her. What the hell, Tomochika-kun? If you're that interested, ask him yourself. Well, I'm not that interested. Yeah, he's smart and dependable and makes decent money, and he's not bad looking. So I guess he wouldn't be a bad investment for the future. If he were just a little more aware of how people were looking at him, I think he'd be on the right track. What are you talking about? Kitahara's pretty hot stock. Hot stock? What? No. I never want to hear Haruki referred to as hot stock ever again. That is the worst thing. That is one of the worst things I've ever read. Oh my god. I want to try saying that about people now. Pretty hot stock. Oh, I don't know. Sometimes it kind of feels like he doesn't want to let anybody get too close. Oh yeah, kind of unbalanced, like he'll help you, but then he'll shove you away. Let's quit talking about this. Anyway, I'm not interested in trying to sell my best friend. You know what? I've said too much already. Forget it. After muttering these last few words, Haruki's self-proclaimed best friend kept his mouth firmly shut on the matter. Which is true about Haruki. He'll always help others, but when it comes to accepting help, he just won't do it. Which is such an obnoxious personality trait to have. Tomochika-kun. Huh? Ogiso, are you leaving? As the solitary male student hurried through the main gate, following the breakup of their meeting, a voice reached his ears. Somewhat quiet, but still clear. Something came up at home. Are you heading to work now? Yeah, at Goodies. The fact that Setsuna had approached a guy of her own accord might have come as devastating shock to the boys who perceived her as the idol of Hojo University. This is stupid. You can talk to guys. Just because you talk to a guy doesn't mean you're dating him. And just because you're an idol doesn't mean you can't talk to boys. Like, that's just so frustrating. The distance between genders in this story specifically is so far. It's so annoying. But the one she spoke to simply saw her as a female friend in the same department and interacted with her in an unaffected, natural way. Really? That's pretty close. It does mean I end up running into a lot of people I know, which isn't always great. I'll have to stop in now and then. His response, normal, though not what she usually met with, was a pleasant thing for Setsuna, but unfortunately, she didn't have the capacity to be aware of that right now. Aren't the girls' uniforms pretty cute there? Well, there are definitely guys who come in just to see them, and guys who come and work there just to see them too. Don't tell me you're one of them, Tomochika-kun. I mean, they are very cute. Uniforms. There's been fan art of all the different girls in the Goodies uniform. It's really, really adorable. She already knew that this guy, Hiroki Tomochika, was on his way to work and where he was headed. The fact that she spotted him and called out to him wasn't a coincidence in the least. Give me a break. I just got a referral there. A referral? Yeah, apparently someone heard that I was struggling a little with living expenses and took it upon himself to pass that along to the restaurant. Sounds like a pretty nosy person. Yeah, I wonder who that could be. Setsuna knew that his struggle with living expenses was no lie. Hiroki Tomochika was a classmate of hers, older than Setsuna, who had entered through the general entrance exam after taking a gap year. He had been a fairly talented student in high school and had actually passed the exam when he first took it. But unfortunately, his home environment had not allowed him to enter university that year. Because the winter before graduation, his mother, his only family, had fallen ill. Oh, something's always going to be happening in White Album 2. Nobody, not even side characters, can have a happy life. He spent a year nursing his mother and saving up for his matriculation fee. And 2 years ago, he had finally passed beneath the gates of Hojo University as a scholarship student, in the same year as Setsuna and the others. She had heard about this from Takea, with some grumbling. Io had teased him. You really aren't happy about Haruki being taken away by some guy, huh? But really, the closeness of Tomochika's relationship with Haruki this past year was notable enough for Setsuna to feel it too. Which, let's be real, is a very, very healthy thing for him. And Setsuna having close friends is a healthy thing too. It's kind of dumb to be jealous of that. Was it Kitahara-kun? Wow, good guess. Of course it's a good guess. That's all she thinks about. So Setsuna's reason for talking to him at the moment wasn't because she wanted to know about him, hardworking though he was. Well, you were just talking about how you work at the same place. It was to learn more about the nosy someone who had stepped into his life and supported him. That guy may be a part-timer, but he talks like a manager. I mean, he works more than hard enough to correspond with that, though, so no one complains. Wow, really? We leave everything to Haruki. Shift scheduling, training newbies, everything. Anyone who didn't know him would think he was a candidate for top manager. So I guess that's why. Why that girl who worked there asked him out? So awkward. Oh my god, she's so awkward. Also, part-timers in Japan are pretty poorly paid compared to full-timers, so Haruki taking on all of these responsibilities is very abnormal and very unnecessary, which just goes to show how over the top Haruki is about his work, about anything he does. She was doing her utmost to act casual, but she was also doing her utmost to hide the racing of her heart and the sweat threatening to come out on her forehead. Oh, that. Like I said earlier, I don't really want to talk about that. Oh, shoot, sorry. Did I just make things awkward? No, nothing like that. I'm sorry. Seriously, that was a rude thing to ask, just out of curiosity. I mean, don't worry about it. Feeling shameful and apologetic, beating herself up. I'm so tactless. God, what's wrong with me? Ogiso. It's awkward. It's so awkward. And continuing to beat yourself up like this after you make a mistake just makes the other party feel more awkward. Don't do this. If you make a mistake, own up to it, apologize, and then just, if you continue insulting your own self, it's just kind of like an unconscious manipulative tactic to get the other person to feel bad and comfort you, which, like, I know Setsuna doesn't mean to do it, but she does it and it's not good. But, unable to drop it, Setsuna continued to push the topic. She had learned this tactic after experiencing at the hands of other people countless times. She knew that it always ticked her off when other people did it, but right now, this was the only thing she could think of. That was how far she'd been driven. That was how starved she was for information about Haruki. Well, okay. Tomochika-kun? Then maybe because he felt pity for Setsuna, seeing her act this way, or maybe because he was just tired of it. Tomochika let out some of the tension out of his shoulders and smiled weakly at her. I guess you've got a right to ask anyway. Huh? At the same time, dropping a hint. It's so weird. I hate this, like, are they dating? Are they not dating kind of thing? Like, it's so unclear to everybody, including the people in the relationship. Now, all of this is gossip that I heard from the girls at work. And, as though he hadn't dropped it at all, he headed straight into the question at hand. She did ask him out, but he turned her down. He did? Pretty harshly, too. Ah. The look on Setsuna's face at that moment must have been pretty strange. Bitterness, tension, relief, doubt. All of these elements shifting from one to the next, mixing together, and yet none of these emotions showed in her face. That girl hasn't shown up since. It's turned into a bit of a problem at work. Haruki had harshly rejected a girl who felt affection for him. And it's nice getting to know this through this story too, because obviously it was alluded to in the closing chapter, but it was always quickly brushed off. Haruki was like, let's not talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. And so getting to know a little bit of background information is pretty neat here. As her desire not to believe that Haruki would do something like that, and the part of her that could almost believe that he would, battled against each other, the pain and heaviness in her heart increased. How can you not believe Haruki would hurt someone's feelings? Like, literally, how could you not believe that, especially being Setsuna? Because if Haruki had indeed turned into this sort of person, that would be an extremely painful, heart-wrenching thing for the ones who had pushed him to it. Or it's just Haruki and that's who he is and who he became. You can't always pin the blame on someone changing on someone else. Because deep inside, they are the ones on the path. Regardless who leads them, regardless of if they decide to follow or not. This is Haruki's decision. Do you think he's going to be fired? Why? Well, when someone causes a problem at work, that's generally, nah, he's not going to get fired. He didn't cause any problems with his actual job, and the attitude there toward workplace romances is pretty negative. But also, I don't believe that rumor. Now, this is just what I think. Tomochika-kun? But Haruki's new best friend laughed off Setsuna's worries. Haruki's not like that. Sure, he's nosy and he likes to be in control and nags a lot and can be a bit of a tyrant sometimes. His expression and words exuded confidence in this inflexible, serious, single-minded person. In spite of that, he's good at looking after people and he was made for leadership. I'm just gonna say it. I don't know anyone as hardworking and legitimately good-natured as he is. Thank you. Why are you thanking me? Oh, oh my God, that's so awkward. Someone compliments your kind of boyfriend, kind of ex-boyfriend, and you're like, thanks. Like, why? That's cute. Cute and funny. This older classmate of hers seemed to have taken over the role that she herself used to play, and she stared at him, just slightly dazzled. Oh yeah, weren't you a student at the attached high school with him? Do you know him particularly well? Oh, no, we were never even in the same class. Kidding, sorry, I shouldn't tease you like that. Huh? You two were dating, right? Ah. Awkward. Now who's the one bringing up awkward subjects? Suddenly, an old memory layered itself mist-like over Tomochika's face. His smile was a bit embarrassed, apologetic, troubled. Just so you know, I didn't hear about it from him. He always clams up when it comes to you. This boy, who had finally seen through to her secret, which she had kept hidden even though she didn't want to. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for you, but this boy, who acted insensitive, but was actually capable of greater kindness and consideration than a lot of people. Hey, Ogiso? Huh? You still can't forget about him, can you? He's so sweet, though. Honestly, Setsuna should just date Tomochika. Like, let's give this guy his own ending. He deserves it. Hearing this question from him with that smile was painful. Even though she knew that this smile, not fake, but genuine, would likely never be turned her way again. Well, I'm splitting off here. Ah, Tomochika-kun. You should stop in at the diner sometime. You never know. Haruki might be happy to see you. Ah. And, closing the conversation in a way that clearly was embarrassed, apologetic, and troubled, Tomochika vanished from Setsuna's field of view. As he steadily grew more distant, all Setsuna could do was watch him in a daze. Oh boy, howdy. Okay, and I think we're gonna stop there for now. It's nice to get to talk to somebody who's outside of like the immediate friend group. I think getting to see that is pretty important, seeing a different perspective, especially giving us a non-biased view of what's happening in well, maybe not in the character's mind, but how they act and getting to know how Haruki is. So, thank you so much for being here with me on this episode of one of the bonus stories from White Album 2, and I'll be back with the next part shortly. Until then, hope you take care. See you!